This is Vader Reviews. We are honored that you would join us for another episode of Vader Draws. Typically, I would be drawing something like anime or dinosaurs, but since it's Mama Shmi's birthday, I've decided to draw something cuter. Baby Yoda. But not just any Baby Yoda picture. I'm going to draw Baby Yoda in his very own little suit of Beskar Mandalorian armor. As always, at the beginning, I keep all of my lines light and loose to get all of the proportions correct as I build my character, before refining the drawing and adding more complex details. There will be plenty of time for that later, once I begin the final inking process. But for now, we're still building our drawing. Don't underestimate the importance of reference material. Before I started my sketch, I searched for an image of Baby Yoda force choking someone to use as reference for his warrior expression. And now that the first stage of the drawing is complete, we move right along to the inking process. And this is where I start to add all of the final details to the drawing. If you're a beginner, however, it is a good idea to refine your drawing to a greater degree before you begin the inking process. Because when you're drawing with ink, your happy accidents stick around for some time. These quick angled lines down the inside of the barrel of the gun give it a sense of depth and three-dimensionality. For Baby Yoda's blaster, I based it halfway on Boba Fett's rifle, but also on an E11 blaster rifle that the stormtroopers use. These raised fins on the side of the barrel give it a decidedly Star Wars-y feel. Just something to keep in mind if you're trying to design a blaster that feels like it fits in the Star Wars universe. Mandalorian gauntlets are pretty wizard, but they're also pretty hard to draw. There's a lot of detail, but the hardest thing about trying to draw these was reducing all of that detail so it could fit on a tiny Baby Yoda arm. Your character's face will always be the most important and expressive part of your drawing. So I took great care to make sure I got all of the details absolutely right. It's okay to slow down at this point. The eyes are the window to the soul, so it's always important to have that glint in the eyes. It gives life to your drawings. And now that we have completed the line work on our mini Mandalorian, if you're wondering how to add just a little extra pep to your drawing, this is the way. Coloring. Since I've been drawing a lot of manga lately, typically I haven't been adding much color to my artwork. But since I'm drawing Baby Yoda, I figured the cute little guy could use a splash of color, just to jazz it up a bit. And it turns out this little aqua green that came in my set of markers was the perfect color for the little guy. And while I know you can get better precision and a wider range of colors on the computer, there's something about actually coloring by hand on paper that I prefer. Not only the feel, but the look of it is very nostalgic for me. It reminds me of the Sunday papers that I used to look at for hours on end as a youngling. Whether it was Garfield, Peanuts, or Calvin and Hobbes, I always wanted to draw artwork that reflected that style when I was a child. As strange as it may sound, the imperfections themselves are what I enjoy. The bleed of the markers through the paper adds to the overall character of the drawing, for me personally, because it brings back memories of simpler times. I went with the light tan for his robe. The idea was that he just put all this Mandalorian armor over his typical robe that he always wears. When the armorer said she was going to build something for the child, I envisioned something a little bit more interesting than a Mithro shirt, so that's why I decided to draw this little guy. Sometimes, it's important to know when to hold back with your color. The mixture of these hard black lines with these open white spaces gives his armor a metallic feel. And as a little tribute to Tamora Morrison, I decided to give Grogu a little Jango Fett blue on his gauntlets and around the face mask of his helmet. And there we have it, everyone's favorite Mandalorian Muppet baby, Grogu the Terrible. I hope you enjoyed this little drawing video. If you're new to the channel, join the Empire today by subscribing. This week's video was brought to you by Scout Trooper Captain Noah Dingley. Thank you to everyone who wished Mama Shmi a happy birthday on Twitter. Have a great week, until we meet again at last.